Store, but it's more, we tried a title called How to Find Apps on the Apple App Store, because that seems to be what most people are want to get out of the class. So we're going to see how it goes over a little bit and get some feedback from people, because people seem to want to find apps. I don't know how many of you bought a new phone in the past couple of years, but you probably paid close to $1,000 for it. And maybe you're making the most of it. Maybe you want to learn how to make better use of it because it's an expensive appliance. So I don't know, while we're waiting, and is there anything in particular you're hoping to get out of today? Anything about apps and finding apps you're hoping to learn?
I've got a fair amount of apps on the phone, most of which I don't use.
Okay, that's not uncommon. Yes.
Right. And normally the only way I find an app is to read a recommendation and search for that specific title. So I'd be interested in how to browse better.
Great question. I like that. Okay. Judy, how about yourself? Anything in particular you're hoping to?
Oh, right. So same with me. So I'm here, let me. So I'm interested in, I don't even know where to begin to look for apps that might be my interest. Like lately I've been doing a lot of watercolor and I bet there are great apps for that. So it's almost like I don't know what I don't know. So I love the idea that was mentioned of how do we even search?
Sure.
And then the other part is I find that if I choose an app, then it'll say this has been billed to your account, but it looks like it's a free app. So I'd love to understand that part too. You know, sometimes I wonder if I'm signing up for things that are not.
That makes sense.
I think there's an app called Planted, something like that, that it'll identify, if you take a picture with your phone, it'll identify what the plant is, but it looks like there's a charge for it. So again, I get confused. So if you could go.
Okay. All right. We'll take a look at what apps are free, how to tell if they're free, how to tell if they're paid, and how you pay. That's a good question. Tracy, anything in particular you're hoping to get out of today in terms of exploring apps in the App Store? Let me go to Hiroko. Anything in particular today you're hoping to get out of exploring apps in the App Store?
Yes, my problem is I have downloaded so many apps, and my question is to download or not to download. That is my question.
Okay.
I can always go back to app stores as needed, but I kind of tend to just download it, and my screen is full. That doesn't bother me because I go to app library, and each time but I don't see any kind of advantage of downloading everything and cluttering my, so to speak, home page.
Yeah, it gets crowded, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay, we'll take a look at some things like that. And Carolyn, how about yourself? Anything in particular you're hoping to learn about the App Store and finding apps before we get started? And we'll take questions throughout the session here, okay? Okay, well, I'm going to share a few slides, some introduction slides, and help you understand a little bit about Get Set Up. We are watching chat, and we have a TA on the call with us today, Phil from Get Set Up. So he will be monitoring if anybody has any difficulty or technical assistance requirements or anything like that, let us know. Okay, so we're going to talk about exploring the App Store and finding apps for your iPhone. Okay, I'm based in Seal Beach, California. I was born in Chicago. I lived in California since college, except for 1 year. After I graduated, my fiance and I moved back to Chicago. And she was raised in California most of her life, and we lasted one winter and we came back out to California and settled down here and raised my family here. I've owned my own internet service company. I've owned my own training company. I write books. I've taught adults how to use technology for years and years. And so I like trying to make technology easier to understand so that technology is a tool for you and not something that you feel is a frustration. Get set up. We want to help you learn useful skills. We have classes in a variety of topics. A friend of mine just joined as a yoga instructor on Get Set Up. So we have classes on from technology to travel to yoga to everything, fitness and health. You can request a recording after class at help@getsetup.io. And if you are joining by live stream, we encourage you to join us at getsetup.io, our website, and register for an account and register for a class. And you can join us like some of the other participants. And we're not paid to promote specific products. We're going to talk about a lot of things that might cost money, but we aren't paid to promote anything. We're just mentioning them as part of training. So the agenda today is, well, let me go back here. Sometimes this happens on my mouse, kind of triggers a slide to advance. We're going to learn how to navigate the iPhone App Store app. It's an app for finding apps on the iPhone App Store. We'll take a look and see how an app is free. We'll try to manage subscriptions and show you where you can manage that. That's okay. Tracy, I saw your note about connection problems. Phil might try and reach out to you to see if he can help you out, but sometimes it's difficult to solve, I understand. And we'll talk about managing apps and where you find them and how to find them. And we'll spend most of our time looking at my iPhone screen because this is a class that's really useful to help show you things live and understand. So this is the app icon for the App Store app. It's provided with all iPhones, and it also comes with iPads, and many computers now have app stores as well. Microsoft has an app store. Apple Macs have an app store, and there's, for Android users, there's a Google Play app store. So the idea of getting apps through an app store is something that Apple started, and everyone's followed along because it makes them more secure and more reliable in terms of how they work, because someone manages the store and takes care of the merchandise or the apps that are in the store. Okay, so we're going to talk about a few App Store terms here, and I like to draw lines on my slides when I talk about things. So let me get a better, brighter color here for us. Okay, let me get a bright orange. Okay, so there's this term called GET, G-E-T. When an app in the App Store listing says GET, it's like the price tag. I was shopping at my local grocery store this morning, and you know how grocery stores usually have price tags on a little rack below the item you want to buy. They don't stamp them anymore. I remember the old days, I worked in a grocery store part-time when I was working summers in college, and we actually put stickers on cans and had a little ink stamp that would stamp the price on things. So it's kind of interesting that would happen. But an App Store app might say GET, G-E-T. It's free to install, means it doesn't cost you anything to install it. But an app may have what are called in-app purchases. Okay, so you don't have to pay to download and try the app and use it. It might have a lot of functionality, but it might have other upgrade features that are available that you can purchase in the app. And any money you pay for an app in the App Store is paid to Apple. If you buy merchandise like through the Amazon app, you do pay Amazon for that. But if you're buying a feature for an app, you pay Apple, and Apple charges you. If there is a price listed for an app, like 99 cents is what they start at, $5.99, $29.99, you pay Apple in order to download the app. Then there's this thing called in-app purchase. And I mentioned those are features or subscriptions sometimes. I use a robocaller app, and it has a $20 a year annual subscription that I pay through the App Store through my credit card on file with Apple. Sometimes an app will say open, and that means the app is already installed on your device. So if you see an app in the App Store, Apple keeps track of your purchases and your downloads, and they will let you know, hey, you've already got this app on your phone. You don't have to install it again. And then they also have something called cloud. Now I'm going to try and draw this. A cloud is kind of like, I got to draw round edges here. They might have a little cloud like that. And then they have an arrow pointing down. And that means that you did purchase the app at one time, you just don't have it installed on your phone right now. Okay, so I'm getting my phone set up to show you some things on this. And you'll see these symbols, but it helps to recognize what do these things mean, right? It helps. So any questions about those? Because I know some of you had questions about what you pay for, what you don't pay for. And we'll take a look and see how they actually look like that in the store itself, okay? Okay, so let's look around. I'm going to move my phone over in front of me. So I'll be looking down periodically here to take a look at some things. I'm not sure why my mouse wants to really move slides through here all the time. So I'm not sure what's going on. I'm going to take a look and try this out. Okay. So we're going to stop that sharing. Okay, and I'm going to share my iPhone screen with you here, okay? All right, that's not a good sign. There we go. Okay, that's something. There we go. That's better. Okay. And what we're going to do is take a look at my screen, all right? Let me move this out of the way. So on my screen, I'm in my home screen right now. And my home screen is showing app icons all over the place. So what I did at the bottom of the home screen are some dots that tells you what you're looking at the current time. I'm on the second screen to the right. And when I swipe from right to left, I'm going to put a little pointer in here. I can't show you my finger, but I can show you what I'm doing with my mouse. When I swipe from right to left, I swipe to another screen, another dot opens up. I swipe again, and here's the App Store. Now, there are also two other stores that Apple has. One is called the Apple Store, and that is where you buy physical products from Apple. iPhones, iPads, Macs, all those types of things. Physical products from Apple are what's available there. And there's an iTunes store. iTunes is where you get music and movies and a few other things like that, okay? So we're going to look at the App Store. Now, one other thing about the screen here is that if you swipe, it says it's on the furthest right here, but there's actually another screen. If you swipe from right to left, you come up with what's called the app library. So again, if you just keep on swiping from right to left until you get to the end of you can't go anymore, you'll get to what's called the app library. And the app library is where Apple collects all of the apps for you that are on your phone, or if you have a tablet, and it puts them in categories. Apps that you use frequently, recently added apps, and then apps that are organized by category. So it organizes apps by productivity and finance, by utilities, by social, information, shopping, entertainment, travel, other, it's kind of miscellaneous, education, games, etc. So it organizes apps by category. It shows apps you use more frequently in bigger. And you can actually tap on an app to open it if you want to. It also has a search bar here at the top, but if you just tap your finger in that search bar, it brings up an alphabetical list of all the apps you have installed on your phone. And you can tap on a letter here. They're small, but if you tap on, say, T, it breaks you right down to T. Or if you tap on J, it takes you to, well, you don't want to tap on an app, you want to tap J. And if you tap on any app, it opens the app up for you. There's a convenient feature that Apple included with the App Store recently in one of their latest updates. So if you haven't used it, I recommend you use it. You just, again, whatever screen you're on, you just keep on swiping until you get to the furthest right screen. Just swipe right to left, keep on going. So any questions about the app library? Okay. It's a good organization tool if you're not sure where you put an app, and you can always search for an app on your phone if you're not sure where it is too. Okay, let's open up the App Store. I'm going to tap on my App Store button here, and it opens up the App Store. Okay. At the top, it says today's date, and it says today. And it has a picture of me. That's a picture of me looking away from my home office setup. And what's important is what's on top and also what's on the bottom. On the bottom, you've got some information here that's in what are called tabs. These are buttons here. The Today button shows you the Today view. You can, within the App Store, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tabs. Okay. Games are popular. So if I wanted to search, look at games, the games section of the store, I could tap on games. Okay. And games opens up. Again, games is on top here, and it's highlighted at the bottom. I can tap on apps, which is kind of a general purpose App Store listing. And this is one where it makes it easiest, I think, and fastest to find apps, but I'll show you why. Arcade, I don't use Arcade, but Arcade is a monthly service, runs $4.99 a month from Apple, that includes a whole bunch of games as part of your monthly fee. And then there's a search button. So you can search for apps, whatever you want to do. And it shows maybe some apps you searched for before, or some suggested ones, and more. So if you knew the name of an app that you wanted to search, like I use this app called No More Robo, called robocall blocking. And if I tap on that, it shows me an ad. Okay, what you'll see here is you'll see apps that are listed. It shows you an ad, but here's the actual app that I have. And remember, I mentioned that apps that you already have installed will say open. So this app is already on my phone, and it says open. Okay. This one that's advertised says get, but in fine print, just below the word get, it says in-app purchases. So if we wanted to find out what that app charges for, we would tap on the app information by just tapping anywhere over here on this section, and it brings up the App Store listing for the app. It says get, so it doesn't cost anything to actually download it, but it has in-app purchases. So App Store listings have a lot of information about an app. Gives you what the ratings and reviews are, what age it's for, and how high it ranks in downloads. Okay. It shows some screens of what it looks like and how it works. And it explains that it's both available on iPhone and iPad. Some apps are on Apple Watch as well. And then it explains what it does. And there's a more button. If I tap the more button, it explains, it brings up all the detail. Okay. So you can customize all kinds of call blocking. And so it has a lot of information here that we can read about. There's our ratings and reviews. And generally apps in the App Store have a rating or review that's 4 or better. Okay, and those are generally pretty good apps. It explains what's new. Apple explains privacy. And this is probably more confusing than helpful right now because it takes a lot to understand what all this data is. And then we get down to the bottom where it says information, and that's where it says in-app purchases, yes. And there's a little arrow pointing down that will help us learn more about what those in-app purchases are. So let's find out. Okay. So it looks like it's selling a membership for you that might be monthly. Usually they're clearer than this, but this looks like it's probably a monthly membership fee and an annual membership fee that it might have for you. And some are old ones that they probably have people that are still on these plans, but these aren't the new ones that you would buy. You would buy either a $3.99, $29.99, $4.99, and I don't know whether these are monthly or one time. It would tell you inside the app, but there might be features in the app that don't really work that well unless you pay for the additional membership fee. But you don't have to in order to download and install the app. So it says get at the top. So let's try it. If I tap on get, it's going to ask me to install it. It doesn't charge me. It will tell me very clearly if I'm going to pay something. But if I tap on this install button, then it asks me sign up. I've just changed a few things on my phone. So I'm going to tap in my Apple ID and done. And it's going to download it now. Okay, your Apple ID is your account with Apple. And when you set up if you haven't purchased or downloaded anything on an app store, it will ask you to enter a credit card. So now the app says open, okay, instead of get. Okay, and I can open it and I can see whether I like using it or not, try it out, and then decide if I want to pay for anything else that the app might want. It's on my home screen on one of them. It usually puts it on the second screen, but there it is, Robo Killer. Okay. So if I want to open the app at this point, I just tap on it. It opens it up and it has some things to walk me through getting started. I'm not going to do that now, but that's typically how an app starts up, is what it'll walk you through some settings. So any questions about that so far? Okay.
This is sort of maybe a little off the subject, but years ago, I remember seeing in the bottom right-hand corner, there was an icon that had a number, and it told me how many apps had to be updated. And I could go in and choose which ones to update, or I could just say update all. And I don't see that anymore. And so are these being updated automatically now?
Apple has changed it, yeah, so that apps update automatically in the background.
Thanks.
Yep, they decided that was a better way to do it. It kept apps working better for people.
Thank you.
Sure, good question. Right, so let's say I've downloaded RoboKiller and I decided, I don't really want it anymore. at some point. I can delete it off my phone. Okay, so in order to delete it off my phone, I have to unlock the apps. Okay, there's a menu that pops up real quickly, and I just don't worry about that. I'm not fast enough to catch it when I'm doing a class. But if I press and hold on the RoboKiller app, it brings up this option to remove. And if I miss it, I can just wait for all the apps to start jiggling, and then I'll let go. Okay, I let go of my thumb. So press and hold, and the apps start jiggling. And if I'm done, I can tap done up here at the upper right, but I can also delete any app that I don't want to keep anymore. So this app has a minus sign on it in the upper left-hand corner. So if I tap on that minus, well, let me get them shaking again here. If I tap on that minus, it says removing the app from your home screen will still keep it in the library. But so it just cleans up my home screen a little bit, but the app is still on my phone. But if I want to just delete the app completely, I can delete it completely. And it's going to delete anything I saved with it. So any settings or information that I might have created in the app, any games I might be playing with an app that's a game that are saved, they're all going to be deleted as well if I do this. But I'm going to go ahead and delete it. And it disappears completely. Now, if I go to the App Store and I look at the app, there's the cloud that appears that I was talking about. It keeps a record of the fact that I did install it at one time. If I had paid anything for it, I wouldn't, unless it was a subscription, if my subscription were still active, but if say I paid 99 cents for the app or $3.99 for the app, my purchase would be still in effect. Okay, so when you buy an app, you buy it once, and Apple keeps track of the fact that you paid for it. All right. Okay. Any questions about that? Okay. I'm gonna scroll up here, go to the app, say what the App Store looks like. All right. So now if I tap on the App Store, I can see again, here's my search, arcade, apps, games, today. And there's an icon for me. This is important. This little icon for you, it appears on every tab. So if I scroll through the tabs here, my icon appears in the upper right-hand corner. That's me as far as Apple is concerned. Okay, it's my Apple email, the email I use with my Apple ID. And it will tell me apps that have been updated recently because they're updating automatically now. So this is where you can see that. It tells me if I've got any credit in the App Store. I've got a credit because I bought a new iPhone recently, and Apple gives me a free Apple TV for 1 year as part of a purchase. And so it shows that as a credit in the App Store. Now, if I want to see what apps I've ever purchased, now purchased here means both apps you paid for and apps that you have downloaded. Apple considers you having purchased an app, even if it was free, from a history standpoint. So here's my most recent purchase, and it's got a cloud. I can download it again if I want to. Here's, I'm trying out a new private web browser. It's on my phone. I can open it. And here's other apps that I have downloaded. Here's Google One. I can open it. So these are all apps that I have installed on my phone. And some I might have paid for, some I might not have, but they are all available for me to download at any time. Okay. And I can search for apps here too. So this is all of my apps that I have downloaded and purchased. I'm going to go back here to this screen. And if I look at my account and I go down to subscriptions, it tells me what apps I am subscribed to. Okay, so I can see that I've got apps that I might have subscriptions to. Okay, so these are active down here. There's my Apple TV subscription. It subscribed me and gave me credit. I have a subscription to Apple Music, next billing date, October 8th, 2021. I've got my Nomo Robo. I've got a voice to text transcriber. And this is Nomo Robo. It says your next billing date and what my subscription is active. It's a 1 year, renews July 6, 2021, and it's $19.99. I can cancel it. It's not going to give me credit for anything that I've paid for the year. So when you pay for your year, it is possible to report a problem to Apple in the email notes you're going to get after class. I've got something that'll help you get some information. There's a link to how to report a problem with Apple. But I can change this to a month-to-month subscription if I want to. What I recommend you do is if you're unsure about an app you might want that requires a subscription, try it for, you can usually use it for, they have a free trial period, or you can subscribe for about a month. And then once you decide you like it, then switch over to an annual plan, because you'll save a little bit of money if you go to an annual plan. But otherwise, you're paying for that year, and you may or may not use it all year long. So I recommend a month-to-month plan, but then switching over once you decide you like it and you're going to keep it. Okay, so now I'm going to go back. So at the top, we see some navigation tools, like an arrow telling us we can go back, another arrow, we can go back to our account, and a done button at the top. And the bottom of apps are typically where you find information on what you can do with the app. So any questions so far? Now, there's a couple of ways to find apps, and browsing for apps is probably one of the most challenging things to do on the App Store. They don't always make it easy. Whenever you're looking at the App Store, the Today view oftentimes pops up, and it just shows you the apps that Apple has collected. Apple runs the App Store, so they are the owner of their App Store, and they decide what you see. So they have today's suggestions, top games, Easter updates, Apple Arcade. They're trying to promote their own product there. Game. Then they have things like Game of the Day, App of the Day, stories for you, language apps, kitchen stories, widget tools that you can add to your phone, scribbling and coloring apps, Uno games. This is just in the Today view that they have. This will change every day. So if you're saying, gee, what is Apple suggesting today? It's kind of like the daily special that they have. Some are discounted, some aren't, but they're just ideas for things that that you can look at. But today changes every day. So if you're thinking, oh, what ideas does Apple think might be useful? What I find more useful is the app icon at the middle, because it organizes things a little bit differently. It has lists of apps. So if you notice on the screen here, there's a little separation here, and there's something to the right. Okay, so that means that I can swipe from right to left and see more information. Oh, NCAA March Madness for basketball fans. MLB, baseball started, right? And we had the first day of baseball season. Stand Up to Racism, Stop Asian Hate, a photo and video editor, 10 years of this available. Dating, with more people getting vaccinated, right? Barbie for Kids, Dreamhouse Adventures, new video editing tools, Amazon Prime Video, Lego Duplo World, PBS Video, Liberate, 5 calls, and other things. So that's just a few things that at the top that they want to show you. But if we scroll up a little bit, they have these lists that they create. One is called New to iPhone. And then it has See All. So if you're new to iPhone, you're wondering, gee, what do most people use on their iPhone? We can tap on See All and just see what people are using. Okay, so they have all these different apps that are people that they suggest for people to try things out on their phone. They're just suggestions. They aren't critical apps. They aren't must-have apps. But then there's top free apps. So these are starting to be lists that are kind of useful. Obviously, HBO, the app is free, but you're going to have to subscribe to HBO in order to get the content. So that's some things that happen that way on apps. But then it has Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Messenger, Google Maps, Gmail, Cash, Amazon, Netflix, these are the top downloaded apps. So you say, well, what are most people using? You can look at this list. And again, there's a See All button. So another way to browse. Okay. Everyone's favorites. Okay. What are they? Let Go. It's a place where you can buy and sell merchandise from people. Walmart. Discord. I don't know that much about Discord. Simply Piano, DoorDash, Adobe, Widgetsmith, Photoshop, Adobe Form Filler, Flip a Clip. So these are apps that Robinhood, News, Masterclass, different things that people have that are interested. Everyone's favorites. Another list. Here's another list, Made for Kids. Another list, great apps for iOS 14. These are apps that take advantage of the new features, the latest features in iPhones. And then popular apps, hot this week, editor's choice. Editor's choice is one of my favorite categories because these are things that the App Store editors have picked and chosen that they say, hey, these are perennial favorites year after year after year, and can really help you explore and get more out of your iPhone and iPad. And might be some apps you just simply didn't know, okay, about tasty food videos and recipes, okay. Overcast is a podcasting app, Epicurious, Explain Everything, Note, Sketch, Record, all types of things that people do on their phones. And what to watch, streaming, shop stores you love. Virtually every store has an app. And so the apps are always available for you to be able to go to and look at, so and utilize. And then they have Apple Watch Starter Kit, top paid apps, autism acceptance, support Asian developers, support women-led companies, socially distance, Zoom, of course. It's never too late to learn, take better photos, top business apps, try it for free, apps you might have missed. And my favorite section is way at the bottom, unfortunately. It's called top categories, okay? This is the departments that apps are organized into. Unfortunately, it's under the apps tab. So you click on the apps tab and then you scroll all the way up and towards the bottom of this list, you'll see top categories. And I recommend you tap on see all. This has apps organized in different categories, okay? So these are different tools that you can utilize and change and look around by department, okay? So if you wanted to find, say, a food and drink app, what's good for food and drink? Just tap on that category and you can see what their editor's choices are, and some other things that people might, a favorite that they might have featured, and they have different categories, subcategories within. So it's kind of like if you were going into a Walmart or a Target or Costco or your favorite, store, and you were looking for, clothing, you'd go to the clothing section. If you're looking for kitchenware, you'd go to the kitchen section. If you were looking for groceries, you'd go to the grocery section. And in each part of the store, they have sub-departments. So, if you're at the grocery store, they have a produce section, a meat section, a dairy section, right? And then they have cereals and together. They try and pull things together. So the categories, to me, is kind of like the department store organization. So if I'm just browsing for apps and I'm not sure what I might want to look for, I'll typically go to the top categories and see all. And I say, gee, what are they, what are some good book apps, that people are looking for and using? And they'll have lots of recommendations. They'll have top free, top paid, and you can see when there's a paid app, it'll have a price on it. Now this is $9.99 and has in-app purchases. This app is $4.99. Okay, and this app is 99 cents. Okay, so but some apps are free as well. Audible, Amazon Kindle, Libby. I don't know if you know it or not, but your public library makes books available for free electronically. You can download ebooks. Most libraries use Libby, but some others use some other apps. So check with your local library wherever you live. But Libby lets you actually join a library based on your zip code from your phone. You don't even have to go into your branch and down it. And I've got, a number of books that I have that I'm borrowing. So I can borrow this Thinking Fast and Slow and then borrow it. And it'll be downloaded to my iPhone. I can read it with Kindle and it'll download to my Amazon Kindle, right? If I want to do it that way. So Libby, but other apps are available. Google Play Books. Obviously, others are out there too. So there's lots of things. So if you just want to get an idea of books or say education, gee, what's available? Learn a new language, learn an instrument, apps for college, professional development, homework helpers, resources for teachers, classroom management, preschool, elementary school, middle school, high school, lifelong learning. Okay, so learn all types of the apps are organized in these categories that make it really, really easy to take a look at them and see how they work. And then some things like medical, apps for hearing health, clinical care, medical imaging, reference journals, care at home, just all kinds of apps organized by these categories, so that there's a million apps on the App Store. And so rather than trying to find one app, okay, if somebody recommends it, it's great. But if you want to browse the App Store, because I know a couple have said, gee, I'd like to learn how to browse, this is one of the most useful areas for browsing that I found. So let me show you how to get there all over again, okay, from the App Store. Open up the App Store. At the bottom, you would tap on the apps. You would then, starting at the top where it says apps, you would scroll up, up, all the way to the bottom where it says top categories, and then tap see all. And in each of these categories, you're going to find, roughly 100 apps in each category that'll be listed: weather, travel, sports, social networking, shopping, just all kinds of useful apps. And these are generally the better quality apps, so that you're going to find apps with really good ratings in here as well. Okay, so any questions so far about the App Store and things we found? Okay, now Apple has some apps that are built in. Okay, so if whether you know it or not, Apple provides a standard set of apps that come with every phone. The App Store is one app, and the iTunes Store is another app. They don't automatically include the Apple Store, but that's available. But they include a phone, a calendar, mail, and Safari, which is the web browser. But you can download other apps for those things as well. And they include a messaging app, they include notes, they include reminders. But as you can see, I've got a number of apps. They include music. I've got Apple Maps, but I've also got Google Maps. Okay. I've got some New York Times as a subscription, but Apple also includes podcasts. There's settings, that's standard, and contacts. But I put Google Calendar on here, even though I use Apple Calendar. I've got some learning apps here. So I've got a Kindle app, TED, Hoopla, and Libby. They're both library apps. I've got Apple Books. I've got Audible. So it's possible for you to add hundreds of apps to your phone, just depending on what you might want to use. And they're all available. So, I mean, I use some apps once every 6 months. Some apps I use every day. Okay, so keeping them on your phone is okay because your phone uses memory to store things. So if you want to find out, well, gee, how much room are these apps taking up? There's something here in settings that will let you do that. So I go to settings and I go to general, and I want to look at how much storage is being used up on my phone by apps, because you may have more than enough room. You click on iPhone storage, and it will go off and calculate what is being used up on your phone. Now, this information tells me that the red information is apps and the information in those apps. So if I have a good amount of memory on my phone, I have 128 gigabytes. If you buy a new iPhone 12 today, the standard memory in an iPhone 12 is 128 gigabytes. They're always including more memory. I upgraded my phone recently, and I gave my old phone to one of my sons that had an older model. It's about a 5-year-old model, and he had 16 gigabytes of memory. It's really hard to do things in 16 gigabytes, but I'm only using up about roughly half the amount of memory. But I also have some things here I can set. It says offload unused apps. So if I'm low on storage, if my phone automatically senses, hey, Bob, you're running out of room, I can enable this and it'll automatically push the app back to Apple's cloud, save my data, and free up memory for me if I need it. But I don't need any room. I have lots of room in my storage here. So that's under Settings, General, iPhone Storage, to get a quick look at that. Okay. So hopefully you've learned a few tips on how to browse the App Store. They've got Today View, apps, this whole list of apps that are available. It's one of the best things to browse for. Obviously, if somebody recommends something to you, it's a great way to go looking for apps as well. All right. Does anybody have any questions about the App Store before we wrap a few things up? Okay. Well, I'm going to run through a few closing slides here for you. And hopefully we'll see you at some other Get Set Up meetings. I teach some classes on Windows 10, and I've got a class coming up at 11:30 on Zoom virtual backgrounds for beginners. We do a class on Windows 10 basics. Some other classes that I look through the listing, there's a couple of people that teach iPhone classes. One is iPhone basics. There's another one that's a little more advanced, another one on iPhone shortcuts. We are on social media, Get Set Up. We've got feedback for you. We'd love to hear from you and other suggestions for classes you might want us to think about doing. You're going to get an email with class notes. It'll have some suggestions for other classes that might be helpful for you. You've got opportunity to give us feedback. We really appreciate that. And if you're interested in participating a little bit more in the community, we do offer the opportunity for people to get involved in that. And there's a great class by another guide called Marv. Marv does a class on tips and tricks to navigate Get Set Up's new look. Get Set Up has a great new website, and it has a lot of information on it that's available for you as a student to register, to sign up, view the schedule, keeps track of things you've done, helps you manage other things. And we're actually going to be having Rick Steves coming up in mid-April. He's going to be doing a free hour class on travel. And we're getting more guest speakers all the time with a lot of things. But this is really nice because it gives you the idea. Here's my class, coming up, and it says log into book. Okay, so if I log in, I don't remember if I have my password here set up, but if you use this as a tool to look at classes, you can browse, for different classes and get all the different ideas. We're just expanding the number of classes, and now you can filter by date, by topic, and even find instructor classes and even more information about what we've got going on with other things. And we've got a handy support button here as well for people that might need or want support from the class too. So gardening classes, cooking, Easter, topical classes for holidays, always coming up with new ideas and new things. Over 350 classes now, and I'm developing one or two new ones as well for people. So just want to check with those of you that are still on to see if you have any more questions that you have. Otherwise, we will see you soon at another class on Get Set Up, and hopefully you'll start browsing the App Store and taking advantage of it. Okay. Okay. Well, thank you. Take care. Bye-bye. And have a
Thank
good
you, Bob.
You're welcome.
Take care.